butter soup on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Schenectady Today, in and around the capital region. We're so happy you're joining us today. We've got a great lineup. We've got interesting guests. Let me tell you who our guests are for the day. We're going to be talking to the Will Kemp Players, and they're doing a lot of Shakespeare. Stay tuned to learn about that. But then we're going to find out about the Niski Neighbors initiative, which has to do with the villages and, no, not the ones in Florida, the villages in our area, to talk about how we support each other. And then we're going to be talking about the Breakthrough Squad. Well, what are they breaking? We're going to find out about that and why it's important to get that stress out of your body. And then we're going to be talking about the upcoming play over at Schenectady Civic Players. They're doing Silent Sky, which is going to be a wonderful play about human computers and all the good stuff that went on before with women anyway. And then we're going to be going over to men now and talking about the Community Fathers Incorporated with Walter Simpkins. He's a wonderful activist in our community, and we're going to be talking with him about that. Our breaks today, sometimes, with travel and everything, I selected a tape that was done a while back with a trip to Holguin, Cuba. And this is the offbeat side of that city. It's the fourth largest city. But one of the things about it is it's a big resort area, but we're not showing you that resort area. We're showing you the actual people that live there. So check that out and you'll enjoy it. I think, Katie, I just want to mention we're starting at 5 minutes on that tape. We're going to be starting right out with the Will Kemp Players. Hey, so glad to have you here. We're also, this is also being heard on WOOC 105.2 FM, and we're going to be telling our viewers and listeners out there about the Will Kemp Players. You're listening to Schenectady Today in and around the capital region, and I'm Ann Pearl, your host for the day. Our guests for today will be, and I'm doing them in the order of where they're sitting. Of course, if you're listening, you don't see that. Harry Reid is sitting here, and we also have Angelina Castro. We have let's see, I got my lines here. Andrea Rabenwald? Rabenwald. There, good, I got that right. And then behind me, I have Christophe de Maria. He's the musical director. And then we have the artistic director, Sandra Boynton, with us. But I'm going to go right to the top, which would be Christophe, to talk about what are the Will Kemp Players and how did it get its name?
Well, Will Kemp's Players is a worker-owned theater cooperative based out of Troy, New York. To our knowledge, we actually may be the only theater cooperative in New York State and possibly the country.
Wow.
Which is really exciting.
Wow. And you're right here.
Yes, here we are. And thank you so much for having us, Ann. What that means is that we are a group of actors, directors, musicians, performers, writers, set designers, technical experts that have all come together. Clowns.
And clowns. Did I hear clowns? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Nobody has a red nose on the show today.
No red noses on the show today. We didn't want to scare anybody out there, And we perform Shakespeare in a way that Shakespeare himself may have recognized, called original practices. It means there's a big focus on the text. It means we perform outside, or as the American Shakespeare Center in Virginia likes to say, we do it with the lights on. Can you say that on TV? So that means that the audience can see us, we can see them. There's a lot of audience interaction. All of the music that Shakespeare has in his text is included.
This is an unusual production then.
It is a little bit. And we set it in the traditional times of the actual play. And Sandy will be
So all men play all the parts, is that right?
Actually, Harry just plays all the parts.
It's a one-man show.
No, but in that same vein, right? So in Shakespeare's time, you would have had men playing the parts of men, women, boys, girls.
The original drag.
Exactly. However, we do extend that in the sense that any person, regardless of their gender identity or expression, can perform a role of any gender identity or expression within Shakespeare's play.
I love that.
Our Hamlet is a woman named Jocelyn.
Okay, great.
And she's wonderful.
Yeah.
The name Will Kemp's Players comes from Shakespeare's first clown, Will Kemp. He was famous for taking what he called the 9 days wonder, dancing a distance of 100 miles from Norwich to London. Can any of you imagine dancing 100 miles without stopping?
What a dream. I can't even go there.
Right? Probably showed up at the local tavern Shakespeare was drinking at. Said, hey, look at me, I'm jigging around. And Shakespeare was like, I need you.
I need Will. What's
Right.
your last name? Kemp? You are it.
That's exactly right. And so since we are a troupe of clowns, and we are also part of the sharing company as the cooperative, we've named ourselves after him.
So that's where the name comes from.
Indeed it does.
And Sandra, you are the artistic director.
Yes, ma'am.
What does an artistic director do?
Too much.
All of the
An
things.
artistic director, at least in our case, because we're a sharing company, and that means we share an awful lot of responsibilities. But my real job is to make sure that we have an artistic focus, which is on original practices Shakespeare and how that also informs contemporary playing, because it really does.
Yeah.
And we're developing that idea. And to keep a sense of quality and continuity in what we're doing in all the things we do, whether it's the summer touring season, whether it's our shoulder season, indoor productions, or whether it's the education work that we do in colleges and universities, and we'd like to branch out into high schools in the capital district.
Oh, that's wonderful. And anything I can do to help you get this going through on the show,
Absolutely.
It's great.
Thank you so
Love
much.
to hear that. So let's talk to some of the actors, because we have the one-man show here. We have Harry Reid sitting next to me. Harry, you're a one-man. What do you do? You play every your Midsummer.
Of course, it is a one-man show. Oh no, I can't steal the spotlight from my very talented co-stars.
No, of course.
Well, I am a minor character. I play a mechanical in the show. Well, actually, it's a
Now,
double role.
which show are we talking about?
Midsummer Night's
okay.
Dream. Yep. I play a mechanical in the Sunk the Joiner. It's a very minor part, but at the same time, I get to play two roles. I get to play that, and then I get to play a lion in the play within a play, which is also very
yes,
fun.
that's so great. Yeah, and that's
always
such.
great.
Midsummer Night's Dream is such a wonderful,
It is.
wonderful fantasy that Shakespeare wrote. Just amazing. And then next to you, we have Angelina. Angelina, tell me what you're doing in the play.
So I'm marketing director for Will Kemp. So I do all the social media. If you're on Facebook, that's me.
Okay. So you'll connect with our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And, yeah, good.
I also play Helena, and I'm the dance choreographer for A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I'm doing some stylized movement in Hamlet as well.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wonderful. Oh, that's got to be fun.
In Hamlet, I'm playing Guildenstern.
Oh, you're playing Guildenstern. Okay, good. And how about you, Andrew?
I'm playing Hermia in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and then for Hamlet, I'm doing some music things that Christoph has
Well, you know what you have just illustrated to me is that you are a cooperative. You do, everybody does a little of everything. And that is fabulous. but let's talk about, I mean, we've introduced you to the actors and we introduced you to the concept of what they're doing. But let's talk about where people can see. Who's going to talk?
Okay.
Okay, we have Sandra Boyd talking. Okay.
We're everywhere.
I know you are. I was amazed.
The next performances of the company, because we're taking a little midsummer break for our own Midsummer Night's Dream.
Somebody's
we'll be
going
at Music
fishing.
Haven in Schenectady.
Music Haven, yes, and we all know that's a fabulous stage.
Wonderful
Yeah.
place. It's going to be in the evenings on the 26th and 27th
Right.
of
July.
The next performances after that will be the opening night performances of Hamlet in Prospect Park in Troy at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 3rd and the 4th of August.
Okay, so now
Outside.
you're going to be using just these two plays in all these areas,
In
right?
all these areas.
Thank goodness you don't have to learn a third one.
There is a third one.
Wow. Oh, no.
That goes into rehearsal the day after Hamlet opens.
Oh, okay, all right.
We're always working.
We're always working, always
We
working.
love
So we're doing these two plays. We will be taking the Midsummer Night's Dream to the Beer Diviner Brewery out in Cherry Plain. That's a lot of fun if you like beer.
Well, you're going to have a good audience.
Oh yeah, we have
One
a
that
very
Shakespeare might recognize.
yes, how shall I put it, warm and receptive audience, and that's on the 24th of
August.
August, okay.
On the 23rd, we're taking
And
Hamlet
which town is that in?
That's Cherry Plain. Is the Beer Diviners in Cherry Plain.
Cherry Plain.
We're taking, the next day, we take Hamlet to the Ghent Playhouse down in Ghent,
In
New
Ghent,
York.
New York. Wow. And
We're-
this is important because this goes down to the Mohawk Hudson area. So this is-
Absolutely. We're also doing the Sand Lake Center for the Arts.
Yep,
with
over in,
two,
yeah,
with
Averill
two
Park.
Hamlets on the 16th and the 17th. And we're doing something really special. We're taking, and I'm missing a couple, but the special one is really important. We're going to the new Park Theater in Glens Falls. Please see their website. It's this beautiful space. And we're going to be doing A Midsummer Night's Dream as dinner theater.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be they've got a 5-star restaurant in the facility, and they're going to do it as a wedding banquet. So that you can.
I'm trying to put this together. So it's a wedding banquet.
Well, isn't that what the last act of
Exactly.
Midsummer Night's
So
Dream is?
it
Triple
fits.
wedding.
So it's and in fact, scholars believe that Midsummer Night's Dream was probably first performed as part of a wedding.
Oh.
It was done outside as part of a wedding of an afternoon in the 1590s.
Yeah. So this is what you listen to this show or watch it because we got a lot of trivia here.
I don't think it's trivia, but it's really what was
Yeah.
happening at the time. So we're going to take it inside into a lovely new space with a catered banquet, and we will have our own wedding banquet, and I've been told there will be cake.
Okay, well, absolutely. Gotta have some cake for that. But so this is. So what are you starting after this? Just curious. Can you tell us?
I think so. We are doing John Patrick Shanley's Doubt.
Oh my God, that is a fabulous play.
Absolutely.
Stunning.
Michael McDermott will be directing for
Oh,
it.
he's such a great director.
He's a lovely director, and we're cast from within the company.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the only old lady in the company.
No, why would you say that?
That means I'm playing Sister
So
Aloysius.
you really, it's a group that you draw from. In other words, you don't do out casting calls.
That is not entirely true.
That's how we got these lovely folks right here.
Okay.
There's about, 12 people now in the company? In the company.
Yes.
And we're carrying about 20 people on Hamlet and about 17 on Midsummer. So we do reach out to the community for people who want to do original practices Shakespeare on a really time-constrained rehearsal schedule and a tough production schedule.
Yeah, I can understand that. So I'd like to go to our first row here. Harry Reid. How long have you been acting, Harry?
Me? Oh my God, that's a great question. Let me see.
Let's see, when I was 3 years old. No.
I was born from the stage. No, I got my start back in middle school when I was in 6th grade with
Okay.
a local high school drama teacher. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let me see. My passion for theater has really followed me wherever I go. I went to college in Vermont for getting a BFA in theater, so.
Oh, so you just followed right through it.
Exactly. And
So
then
you're creating your passion and doing
definitely
it. Yeah.
helping me make it straight to the stage in New York.
Yeah, great. Well, who knows?
Exactly. You never know. That's the big hope.
Every actor had to start somewhere. Angelina, how about you? How long have you been involved? Well, I know you're doing choreography and you're doing a few other things. So.
Yeah, so I started out in dance, and then throughout high school I did like musical theater. But in 2017, when Sandy wrote me into Will Kemp's Players, it was something completely different. I don't think I had ever done a straight play. Everything has always been musicals and dance. So that was, to go from musicals into Shakespeare was a huge culture shock, but I love it.
Yeah. Okay. And how about you, Andrea?
I've been performing Shakespeare at a semi-professional level for about the last 4 years.
Yeah. So there you have it. Will Kemp Players. You want to check out some of their productions. I don't care where you're living in the East here. You're going to be able to see them. Eastern New York. They're all over, and check it out. I'm Ann Pearl. You've been listening and watching Schenectady Today in and around the Capital Region. Thank you. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to those Niski neighbors and find out what they're doing to help the community. Stay tuned.
It kept us at bay for 50, 60 years. Incredible. Maybe trips to Hanoi. Little stores catering to tourists, I guess, but I haven't seen a single tourist. A little cafe, little street stores. Casa de la Música. Who knows? I'd love to buy one of these hats.
And here we are back again. I first heard about the Villages concept about 8 months ago and was really kind of interested in it, and then it kind of got off my radar. But now they're back again, and because that was up in Clifton Park, but right now we're talking about Niskayuna and the Villages initiative, and it's helping people in our own communities. So right now I have with me, sitting next to me, is Ken Harris. He's the executive director of the Albany Guardian Society, and I'm sure that he can give us some good input on this. And then next to him I have, and you're Yvette. You're Yvette Gebel. And Gebel, is that correct? And she's one of the volunteers here talking about the Niski neighbors. And then Mary Deloy is right there. Mary Deloy is from the founder of the Niski Neighbors as well. And then we have Nancy Varley, and she's the one who got started in Shenendehowa, right? So we're going to be talking about all of that. So I'm going to start with Ken Harris. Maybe he can give us an overview from the Albany Guardians Society of what the Villages project is, or initiative, and then we can talk about maybe Shenendehowa, find out how successful that is, and find out what Niski is doing.
Thanks.
Hey,
Yeah,
Ken.
okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Yeah.
too. The Village movement started in Beacon Hill Village about 15 years ago. It was a small group of women that came together and really wanted to stay in their own home. And so they decided to develop what they called the Village movement at the time. And it's villages as neighbors helping neighbors. That's really the concept of villages. And villages are not-for-profit corporations. They're developed by seniors. They're grassroots, so it comes up from above.
From the needs of that community.
From the needs of the community. Each village is different, and it's geographically defined, and it's a membership organization. And dues can range anywhere from $20 up at Glens Falls to Beacon Hill Village is $1,000 a year. But when you look at what other costs would be,
wow. But wait a minute, I was just going to say, it's the cost of what it would be if you didn't do this.
That's right. Usually the cost is about, for an all-volunteer village, about $100 a year.
Okay. And what does that get the person that is involved with this? Now, I mean, I'm not talking about, because each one is going to be different, but give me an overview.
Sure. I would say the villages have two basic services. One is the social services. They go out to libraries and museums. They do hikes and biking trips. It's a very social component of a village. The other is the services part, and that's if you need help remaining independent in your home. And that's anything from transportation to a doctor's appointment. Really, villages find those gap services that aren't already in place.
Aren't always available, yeah.
Yeah, in the community by by agencies that are there.
Because you might not be that needy to get those services, but you're an average person that wants to stay at home.
Right, and that's where the social services come in.
Yeah, exactly. So you're saying that the only ones in this area right now, not Beacon, of course, but here is the one in Shenendehowa, and then the one in Niskayuna that you're working on, is right? And the Guardians, what does the Guardians do?
The Guardians Society, we've been involved in the Village movement for about 8 years now.
Okay.
And we have forums, we have educational programs, and we've been really involved in education. We have about 100 free programs a year.
Okay.
But within the village movement, there are several villages that are up and running. In Bethlehem, there's a village that's running, in Northern Columbia County, in Shenandoah, Neighbors Connecting. But there's several others that are just about
They're just going to launch.
Just about to launch. We have a Capital Region Villages Collaborative. That's if you want to learn about villages. Every other month we have a meeting, and we'll have a website that's coming out soon, so it'll be a one-stop
I know
shopping.
you're having a meeting at the Carondelet with that, and of course it's on a Tuesday, so I can't come. I'm here on Tuesday.
August 20th, yes.
Yeah.
For those that want to come.
Yeah. Nancy, tell us about how Shenandoah is working.
Well, I'll have to say it's working pretty well. We're about 15 months old now. What happened is, Ken mentioned the Capital Region Villages Collaborative, and we went to a couple of meetings. We were knocking around the idea of starting a village. We were interested how to do it. We kind of had an idea. So we went to a couple of meetings and met Ken. And then he said, you know what, if you could put together with the kind of money you'd need for like a first year budget, like to start a village, could you do that? So another member of our village and me said, we can do it. We put together a budget, gave it to Ken, and he applied to the New York State Office for the Aging.
Aging, right.
And we were able to get a small grant. We were amazed that we got it. And if it weren't for that grant, I can tell you, Anne, I think we would still be knocking around the idea because it costs money to get incorporated, to file for a 501c3. It costs money to get liability insurance, all of which those things you need. So really, if it weren't for their sponsorship and interest in this and investment in this idea, I don't think we would have had the village
It's
now.
tough to start something out.
Yeah, it is.
So let's go next to you, because then we have one of the volunteers from the from Niskayuna, and we'll be talking with Mary Delory, right? So Mary, pass that over.
I
to
have
Mary.
a mic.
Oh, she's got a mic on. Oh, well, aren't you special? So how did you get involved with this?
Well,
and then we'll talk to Yvette.
Okay, so Ken mentioned that the Albany Guardian Society does some educational programs. They did one on the village. I went, Yvette was there, and we realized we were both from Niskayuna, and there was a little discussion about, are you interested in kind of starting this? So that was in November. We both kind of sat on it for a while, and then in January we got together, we met, and we said that we were. We met with Ken and his staff, and now too, the Albany Guardian Society has a woman who actually can provide us with more technical assistance, which is wonderful. Great. So we are actually, there's a lot of support in terms of starting this. We're building on what other programs have done. The collaborative meetings help us to get ideas from other programs too. So we had a community forum in June, and we were very pleased over at the Niskayuna Library, and we were very pleased with the turnout. From that, we did a survey at that meeting, and from that survey we had 10 people who indicated they'd be interested in being part of our steering committee, which we were just thrilled at. And
that's great. That's great.
A shout out to, we have one of our steering committee people, Sue Penny, with us today too, which we're very pleased. Yeah. So we're starting to meet, and we've done some defining of what our area is going to be. It will be, when you say Niskayuna, all of a sudden you realize what does it really encompass? Yeah. So our catchment area will be anybody who lives in the town of Niskayuna, anybody who has a zip code of anybody who has a zip code of 12309, or somebody who resides in a home that would be part of the Niskayuna School District.
Okay, good.
And then,
oh wow, so you have changed the
well, because you realize that there's some, when you look at there's some people in Rexford that are considered Niskayuna part of that.
Yeah. And Upper Union Street area is kind of like
right. So we had to really set that, and we also set our age for members to be 60 and above, who will be receiving the services, and volunteers.
Now, anyone can. I mean, I know that you're not up and running yet. Mm-hmm. How would someone? Let's go to Yvette here. Mm-hmm. How could someone get involved with this? Because we want to get people interested and get at the ground level. So.
And thank you. That's a great question. Yeah. And that's what we're doing now. Is we're sort of beating the bushes. We're making sure we get the word out. We're going to have a table at the concert series at the gazebo in Niskayuna. We're trying to get the word out. We've had our first meeting at one of the independent living places in Niskuna. We're going to do the same. We're going to be moving around the community so that...
I'd like to attend some of those to find out what's going
Sure.
on. Yeah.
And whoever we're meeting, and the steering committee is helping us with that, and people that are involved, telling each other. It's neighbors helping neighbors, and that's our goal. And we're in the development stages of that, and we keep building. And it's amazing to me. I just spoke with someone yesterday who had heard about us, and it was exciting. So I think we are getting the word out. We published a little article in Your Niskuna, and we're here today to make sure that as many people as can find out about us as possible. So it's talking it up and making sure.
And of course, this will be on, we will Twitter this out, your organization, and we will also put this on Facebook. So the write-up will be on Facebook, so you will alert a lot of people about this. The important thing is that if people want to get involved, they need to check you out at maybe the gazebo when they do their concert series on Thursday nights. Or maybe they can just find
email us. They can just email us to say, you know, one of the things we really want to do is get input from the community as to what kind of services you want. We're not interested in duplicating services that are already there.
Yeah, but that's one of the important things, as Ken will probably attest to, that you don't want to duplicate services if you don't have to, because everybody should be focusing on what they do best, rather than everybody doing a little of everything.
And that's our goal.
Yeah. And you do have the contact information, by the way, is niskineighbors@gmail.com. So you can go ahead and email them, and they'd be happy to at least get back to you and let you know how you can help or how you can get involved. What is your projection as to getting this going? Anybody?
Well, we're excited. Ken keeps telling us we're moving ahead
of schedule.
Ahead of the schedule, and that's the best we can do. Is let you know that we were able to form the steering committee in less than 2 months of our really coming together.
Well, that's pretty good.
So we're moving ahead, but we certainly want to engage the community. There are more than 6,000 folks in Niskuna that are over 65. So we know that there's a population out there
that can use the services.
That could engage and participate and be helpers as well as being participants in need of some help. And
now, how does this dovetail in with the senior center, or does it?
Senior centers are big partners. I think that as a village is developing, that the first thing they need to do is look at what the services are out there. A lot of senior services provide transportation, for instance, but they don't provide transportation on weekends, or maybe not on evenings, or provide transportation to social events. And that's where villages come in, is that they look at the gap services, transportation, home repair, and tech support are the three big services that villages usually provide.
And does this also dovetail with the umbrella program, or is that, I mean, I'm just throwing these out because I've had a lot of these people on my show.
Right, again, we're not going to be duplicating, but at our first meeting, Ron Byrne, the executive director
Ron Burns,
from Umbrella, was there. So, and he's going to be coming to our next meeting. So again, it's learning from him what he does, and then figuring out potentially where we can partner and work together to enhance the aging in place issue, which people want to do.
They want to stay in their own place.
They want to stay in their own home.
And a lot of times, it's cheaper to stay in your own home than it is to go into a retirement center. I hate to say that, but when you look at some of the retirement centers that are out there, they're not cheap.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a need for both. I mean, there's some people that need
to
be in.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that there are many people just would like to stay in their own home.
And be independent, as independent as possible.
87% of the survey say that people want to stay at home, but there's a lot of people that can't afford either retirement communities or don't qualify for subsidized housing. We're finding out that villages and senior communities are working well together to provide services and work together as partnerships.
Right, and usually the mortgage is already paid off, so all they're doing is paying taxes, so that's a big thing. Of course, there's a home repair and little things that happen, you know, leaky faucet and things like that. You'd like to be able to call somebody and say, you know, and not pay through the nose, but, you know.
Also go to a movie with somebody. You know, they won't go out by themselves.
Oh, that's true.
And so if you have a friend now to call, or, you know, it's posted on someplace, you have somebody to call and you go together.
To the theater, go to see the Will Kemp Players.
Exactly. So it's neighbor helping neighbor from a social perspective as well as delivering services. And we are in a community that's very service rich. So again, we don't want to duplicate, but we want to enhance and make folks' lives better.
Right, and since I live in Niskuna, please keep me posted.
For sure, I'll
I'd
put
love
you on
to
our email
attend
list.
one of your sessions. I can't do the one on Tuesday. Let's mention it real quickly. It's at the Carondelet, and it's on a Tuesday. And
August 20th.
August 20th, and it's a lunch. I guess you have a little lunch too.
It goes from 9 to 12:30. We have Greg Olson, who's Director of Office for Aging, and we have the Executive Director of the Village to Village Network.
That's really good.
And we have 3 villages that are going to provide what their villages are providing. So it's a good day to learn about the village movement, and who said there's no such thing as a free lunch, because we are providing a free picnic lunch.
Well, that's nice. Though it's nice. Whatever it takes to get people out, it works. But we want to encourage you to check out the Villages project. This one is Niskuna, but even if you're not in Niskuna, you might want to check this out because it might be a great one in your community. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to Holguin, Cuba again, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Breakthrough Squad. What are they breaking? Stay tuned. Okay, great. Got everything in?
No, chica, no. Vea, yo veo ¿cómo se llama
They're the first truck with people I've seen.
The Breakthrough Squad. Well, Chrissy's been on my show before, and she said to me, I have a really interesting project I'm working on, and she's brought Jackie with her.
Yes.
Tell me what you're doing. And I'm kidding about the breaking, but this is part of the thing.
It's not kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all started with my book. I wrote a book,
I know
Let
you
My
did,
Legacy
yeah.
Be Love, which was a series of stories where I uncovered all this stuff and I found the root of some really bad, unhealthy patterns in my life. So I went out and I started talking about this in workshops and just out speaking about what I learned in the adverse childhood experience study and all that. Well, during the course of that time, a mutual friend of Jackie's invited me. She said, I think you two ladies need to meet each other. And I said, well, what's Jackie doing? And she told me, and I said, oh, that sounds really interesting. So why don't you go ahead and talk about stress fracture?
Oh, sure. So stress fracture is a mobile stress relief trailer where I come to your home or business and you literally get to break things.
And we have a photo there of some of your dishes and things,
Yes.
I think, that you did.
Yes, and the items consist
There
of
they are.
plates,
Okay.
yeah, you name it. Plates, mugs, big vases, computers, printers, you name it. And it really is to help an individual break through whatever might be holding them back. So when I had met Christina, how stress fracture came about was I was going through my own thing,
like we never have any stress
Exactly.
in our lives.
You'd be surprised how many people tell me that, and I was like, just try it. And they're like, oh, I had no idea. You don't know what you're releasing until you actually get to release it. So I was telling Christina about it, and stress fracture was started off as a fun thing, but I really wanted it to have more meaning. And as I was working through my own issues, I realized I needed some help with taking it to the masses and actually helping people break the chain of whatever it is they were going through in a fun yet effective way. And that's when I met Christina, and we just clicked, because I think the program we've come up with is doing exactly that.
The thing is that you have this stress, and the way to get rid of it is to express it. And I'll tell you a really funny story. I was talking to somebody, and she was really stressed out, and I used a swear word, and I said, sometimes just swearing helps. And she says, oh, I couldn't do that. And I go, okay, I'm just saying. And so she swore, and oh, she said, that felt so good.
Exactly.
Exactly.
She said, it just released something.
Yeah.
But you do the same thing.
Yes, in fact,
a different way.
Absolutely, yes. And that was typically the response I get is people are a little bit apprehensive at first, and then they'll walk up to whatever it is and they'll go, boom, and they'll break it, and then they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. It wasn't so scary. And then they'll really go to town. And typically I get, that felt so wrong, but it felt so right. So
well,
it
that's
really
the same
does.
thing that would happen with this person. What was funny, because she was so tight, and I said, why don't you just let it out?
Yep, and the look on their face from when they go in and when they leave, it is a literal transformation, because they have just released sometimes what they didn't even know they were carrying.
So where do you get all this stuff?
We get it from people just give it to us. As a matter of fact, we've been cleaning out my dad's house because he died, and I brought home an entire carload of plates and mugs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to make a quick point so we don't get too far into the breaking things.
Because you're having a story circle and you're doing
Right. Well, there is so much research about releasing, and if you stop and think about it, when you're a kid, you're not allowed to break things. Right?
Don't break that, don't touch
it. Right, and it's and we can't get our stress out of our bodies, and it's built up in our bodies, and there's so much research that points to what those things that happened when we were kids, when we had no control, we felt powerless, and it's in our bodies. And because of that, what I talked about the last time I was here, all these patterns that came up in our lives that we lived, we're kind of like unknowing prisoners. I think you said something about, I'm not giving it any more space.
Yeah,
I'm not
no more space, no more rent. I don't rent it out.
Right. So what was happening when I was doing my workshops, people were talking about things, and then they would start to cry or whatever, and I thought, I need to figure out a way that they can release it, other than tears. Swearing helps. I'm not much of a swearer, but boy,
I am.
One night I got mad and I started swearing. I was like, ooh, that felt good.
Well, if you're by yourself, it doesn't make any difference.
Exactly.
Nobody hears you, they don't know, you get it out, and that's that.
Well, what we decided to do then was we have this and we talk about the story and the basis of the story, try to help people figure out what it is that's kind of holding them back. Then they get a piece of glass that they get to write on. And we kind of steer people away from a name. I'll say, oh, Maria, she totally makes me angry. What is it about Maria? Do you feel devalued when you're around here? Do you feel like she doesn't hear you? Do you feel like
Maria
she doesn't see you?
may be a nice person, but you just don't like what they do.
Well, exactly. So they get to write that on a piece of glass, and then Jackie takes them out to the van, and they get suited up in a tie-back suit. It's all very carefully
you don't want
protected.
helmets,
gloves, the whole 9 yards. Then they get a crowbar, baseball bat,
sledgehammer, whatever their destruction tool of choice is. Yes, they have a whole variety. So
what an idea! What a great idea!
And then we bring them back in. We talk about what they just went through. Because a lot of people, things come up, they can't believe that some anger comes up. Well, that's kind of the point. The anger, the tears, get it out. But at the same time, laugh. Because it's whew, that feels good.
Yeah, and it is fun. Because oftentimes you're having the other group members cheer you on, too. And people say some really funny things.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah,
go, girl.
We had one woman.
Exactly.
We had one woman that was really funny. I think this is one of my favorite ones. That somebody had donated this glass clock. The one that has the dome over it with the it was a gold thing.
I hate to break that.
And so
I have a story for you.
Yeah, she went in there and she goes, I'm starting with time, and she put it on the table and she smashed it and the thing went flying and she goes, wait, get back here, I'm not done with you yet. And she kept hitting it. It was really funny. I mean, everybody totally enjoyed it. They were all, realizing it was true.
And the good part is things are upcycled. I actually separate and donate things to local artists, so things are actually turned into another thing of beauty.
Okay,
So yeah,
okay.
so don't feel too
Yeah.
bad about the clock. It will be
So
something else.
let's
again.
let everybody
Becomes something else.
know how they can join you. And you're having a story circle, and it's going to be in Malden Bridge on August the 6th at 7
at
p.m.
7 p.m. That's something that we're going to start on a regular basis, where people get to come and talk about their story, talk about whatever's bugging them that day. They get to break something. We'll have an artistic project as well. We've been doing plants. So that people get to plant a plant when they're done, as a reminder to nurture what it is that they've decided they want more of in their life.
I think what you're doing is really great, because we need to get that stress out, and these are some ways to do it, and this is really kind of a fun way to do it, and you get it out. Thank you both for being here. It's been a pleasure to meet you, Jackie, and of course to see you again, Chrissy. And we're going to be taking a quick break, and we're going to be talking about Silent Skies. Stay tuned.
Here we have a room for rent, and behind me is a cocktail bar. Little phone.
¿Y dónde está que no viene?
Okay, and you've been visiting Cuba there. Silent Sky. What a nice play. Jen Van Alstyne is the director, and we have Carol, you're one of the actors. Right. Tell us about the play and how you chose it.
Silent Sky is a beautiful story. It's the dramatized biography of the astronomer Henrietta Leavitt, whose discoveries regarding Cepheid stars were the foundation of what ultimately allowed us to understand that we are one of billions of galaxies, and how
it is that we aren't the most important thing.
No, I'm sure that we are.
Only to ourselves.
Yeah. That there are that. Basically, as they say in the play, she became the first person to measure the universe.
To measure the universe.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you play that part?
No, I do not. I play her Scottish friend. I'm not even a scientist. I was the housekeeper of the head of the Harvard Observatory, who got frustrated by all the men workers who could not tolerate the tediousness of the work, because what they did is they used the Harvard telescope to take pictures of sections of the sky, and it would be transposed onto these, it looks like window panes, and it would be little black dots on white. And what they had to do is take those and name the star, measure the luminosity and the magnitude of the star, and also the color. And the men just got very quickly tired of it. So he said, my housekeeper could do better. So he brought in his housekeeper, which was Wilhelmina Fleming, and she did better. And from then on, he started hiring women. And then once they knew that he was hiring women scientists from all over the country, flocked to the Harvard Observatory because they were being recognized, and he allowed them to take recognition for their own work.
Yeah, women have been very instrumental in science, and yet we're not allowed that. I think I recently was listening to a story about Madame Curie, who was a fabulous scientist, but they said, well, she's just a woman.
Mm-hmm. Well, in many ways, there are a lot of women who were unsung heroes of science, whose work was, even as in Silent Sky, their discoveries, their work was handed over to men.
Who took credit for it.
Right, and who were able to do more with it or make progress with it because ostensibly they were somehow more capable. and what I love about Silent Sky is it really pulls back some of that curtain and shows how hard these women worked. And
you have to be twice as good to be equal to?
Yeah.
Especially in 1900.
Yeah.
And the level of sacrifice that a lot of them had to make in order to be able to be a part of that scientific community. Like there's a big question of marriage of the main character. Can she get married? Well, probably not, because her work is the most important thing to her. And so, it's that, strangely enough,
it didn't affect men though, right?
Right, no. But like some of those women having it all, doing it all, those themes I think still resonate.
We're doing it today. What are you talking about?
I know.
We have to do it all. We have to clean the house, do the job, take care of the kids.
Yeah, work-life balance is something that I think even women today, still can relate to.
But work is important.
It is.
It is important. It's
passion is important.
There's a passion, and you get your passion many times with work.
Yeah.
Maybe not all jobs, but many jobs. You create that passion. It's interesting that you chose this play, since we're going into the Apollo 11 celebration, the lunar landing.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish I could say that I had totally planned that.
Well, go ahead, say it. Go ahead, say it.
Absolutely,
she planned it. Yeah.
No,
I thought that perhaps you had planned it because of that, because it was such a connection.
No, I just love the script, but I think it's fortuitous timing.
Yeah.
I was drawn to the script because I am a scientist who acts, or maybe I'm an actor who works in science, but the scientific aspects of it was really what drew me to this script. And
and I'm sure, who's in the play?
Well, in addition to Carol, we have Lydia Nightingale, who's playing Henrietta Leavitt, Melissa Brown, who's playing Annie Cannon, also a real life person. Tommy Swim is playing the lone male character in the play, and Cara Juris is playing Henrietta's sister, Margaret.
Music?
Yes.
You got Jenny? Yeah. What is it a musical?
Oh, no. There was original music written for the production.
Oh, okay.
So we are using
You're using that music. Oh, I was wondering about that because I didn't think it was a musical.
No. A little bit of singing, but not a musical.
Okay, good. We want to remind people that if they'd like to see it, it's on July 19th through the 28th. And you can see that at the Schenectady Civic Players. This is unusual to have a summer production. They're going to start doing them now that there's air conditioning.
Yes, that's a big thing. Now that we have air conditioning in the building, we can use the theater year-round. And also with this show, so in addition to being the first summer show, it's also the first show that's going to have a Saturday matinee on July 27th.
Okay, great.
So, we have our Sunday matinees, but we're also doing the Saturday matinee.
Yeah, because a lot of people like to get out and then do something different in the evening. There's so much going on in our community over the summer. I send out a list of free events. I think maybe you get a copy of that. It's an amazing list because I compile it myself. It's not like somebody said, well, where do you get that list? It's like, I got to get it myself. I can't, I read the paper, I check out different venues that are coming up. Because I think it's important for our community to be aware of what events are available. So some people take staycations, not vacations.
I also want to remind that besides air conditioning, Schenectady Civic now has an elevator.
I know, the elevator is such a godsend, really, to get up and down. And I usher there, and I'm usually usher where the elevator is up on the upper floor. And it's amazing. I think the vast majority of people are coming up through the stairs and elevator. Even though there's the stairs there, they come up that way rather than the way by the front door. So it's amazing the way it changes there. One of the other things I'd like to mention is if you ever go to the Schenectady Civic Players production, you're going to get treats at the break. I call it a break here. It's an intermission. I do breaks here and you do intermission. And they serve coffee, tea, and cookies, and no charge. Just we want you to get down there and chit-chat a little bit and enjoy the first half and then go up and see the second half of the show, right? I look forward to seeing this because I love plays about science and women excelling in that, and being the human computers or whatever they're doing, whatever it is. And I just recently saw a film about black women that were involved.
Hidden Figures.
That was a wonderful film.
Wonderful movie, and this reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah, well, when you said it, I couldn't remember the title of the thing. I'm glad you came up with it because I was thinking of Invisible, but it's Hidden Figures. If you haven't seen the film, see the film. It's an amazing film about these women that did so much.
Or just come see Silent Sky.
Do both.
It's the hidden figures of astronomy.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to take another quick break, and we went from women to men because we're going to talk about community fathers and how important they are to the families in our communities. Stay tuned. Walter Simpkins will be joining us.
Okay, City of Parks. Here we have another one. I'm going to go explore that mountain. Beautiful little open air restaurant. Well, I'm on the edge of town, probably about a mile to the north from where I'm staying. Here we are in a little park, fixing it up.
And here we are back again. Walter Simpkins, he's been on the show before. Did you happen to see the film Hidden Figures?
Yes, I did.
Wasn't that an amazing
Wonderful.
film?
Yes.
Just amazing.
Right.
I was just mesmerized by
They
the
should
film.
call it Hidden History.
Oh, well, absolutely.
Okay.
Because, of course, you like history.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
He likes history. He's involved with the Juneteenth program and also does a lot with Vale Cemetery. But he does something that is so important in our community, and it's called Community Fathers, Inc. And he uses the phrase, building a community one father at a time. Well, how important is it to get men to accept, that how important they are to the family?
Well, I think that men realize it, but not until recently have they had the opportunity to really become active participants in the lives of their children. There's been a change that has gone down where fathers are now, they were just the providers.
Yeah, they went off to work.
Yeah, right. And they didn't have a lot of contact with the family emotionally. But now that has changed. And
because it's permissible.
Yes. Well, actually, because of the fact that there's something going on, like you'll see more fathers pushing carriages.
I love that.
And at the playgrounds than you ever did before.
Well, because there was a stigma to that. Oh, can't be very manly because he's pushing the baby around, or he's got the baby in front.
Yes.
Listen, my grandson, he's got a new baby, and that baby is in every picture with him.
Yes.
He's got it on his front. He's got it everywhere. That's so important.
Yes, it is. And not only that, too, the ability to make more and more fathers realize that. And not only to realize it, but to understand that they're significant players and what is going to go down later on in a child's life.
And the bonding.
Yes, because sometimes, and especially in the urban communities, the fathers were put in situations where they were not allowed to really have connections with their children because of the way the social service systems worked. And there was a time where if a mother was accepting any kind of social services,
the husband could
not be around, and they would come in and check for drawers and closets to make sure there was no man involved. But what has happened is we have found
they need both.
Yes. See, we thought that the big problem was fatherlessness, when actually it was the fathers were there, but it was a matter of getting them into the lives of their children.
So they could not really provide for their kids, or how?
Well, they could provide, but because of the way sometimes things work, economically, they were not able to have the money to really do what a lot of times fathers were expected to do.
I see.
Because of stigmas on who got jobs, where they got the jobs at, how they work. That's why so many fathers were in construction work or service industries, because of the society's blockage on certain fathers.
But that's changing, I hope.
Well, it is changing, but I think it's because the world is changing. And because the world is changing, everything now is moving to another level. And that's why fathers are starting to say, we can do this. If you go down to the county family courts, you'll see a whole another thing going on now. Family courts used to be very father unfriendly. If you had to go to court, you knew you were a loser. Not anymore.
Oh, that's so sad.
Not anymore, especially in Schenectady Family Court, because there was a situation where we had judges that were very father unfriendly, and until at one point, one of the judges had to be taken up on charges, and the only thing they would have done was remove the judge from the bench, because they put a sanction on the judge. So that kind of
But at least it was recognized and it was acted upon.
Yes, yes. Well, this is when we realized as fathers, we could make a difference, that we weren't at the mercy of a judge who saw us not as fathers, but maybe as abusers or addicts or criminals or whatever they had in their mind that they thought they were looking at. So it created a whole nother situation.
They were painting with the broad brush.
Yes, yes, very broad brush, and a brush that really created a stigma for fathers. And so in that, we had to start to change that conversation so that we could show that we were very involved. And so that's what we did. And we just started as a support group to do that. And so as that support group, we realized that as people came to the support group, they needed services, and there were no services for fathers. So that's when we began to build the program and start to service people and go to courts with them, or go to the jails, or go to the drug programs, and get these fathers to understand they had an importance in life.
Yeah, well, when they feel as that they don't have that importance in life, it makes them go in a different direction. It's like they're trying to find solace somewhere else.
Yes. Well, this is what happens when fathers are not in the lives of their children.
Right.
And the statistics show educationally, the rate of teenage pregnancies, all of these things are affected by a father not being there. But what happens is we've come up with a concept that we call it, what's the biggest problem, especially because of poverty, we call it love scarcity. And when you live in poverty, everything is scarce.
Yeah.
Okay? People don't have time. People don't. That's why
they're working two jobs.
Yeah, and your language becomes different. You know, when people say, well, people have to be patient and they have to wait. When you live in poverty, you know the word wait means never.
Never.
Okay? Yeah. So therefore, you start to look at the world a certain way. And so therefore, how it affects not only you growing up, but when you start to have relationships, when you start to go out in the world, and even you being able to love your own children.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we have found. And because of it, we've tried to put in programs that address that. And we've been really, coming up with stuff as we see that people need different things.
Are you getting good support from?
Oh, yes. And in fact, we won the 2018 Fathers Program of the Year by the Fathers and Families Coalition of America. So
that's an amazing.
Right, we're doing some things, and it's right out of the community.
I know. I have to just say who's coming up next week, and then we're coming right back to you, Walter. Next week we have Care Patrol coming on, and that has to do with selecting senior care. We're talking about creative money conversations. That's going to be an amazing thing. We have a Schenectady Community Ministries. They do some wonderful stuff in our community. We're going to be talking about travel with Richard Loveridge, and we'll be talking with the Waterford Historical Museum. But right now we're talking with Walter Simpkins. He's with the Community Fathers Incorporated. And to get a national award like that, that's an amazing thing.
Yes.
So you've been doing this how long?
Actually, we got incorporated in 2009. And so we have been slowly but surely building a program so that we could provide services to bring fathers to the forefront.
You've been on 10 years then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll tell you, we're on a grassroots budget, but we have fathers that step up to the plate that are willing to run programs and provide services for us.
So you're getting them involved?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is what the whole program is for, is to bring fathers into the lives of their children and children into the lives of their fathers.
And also getting them involved as mentors
Yes,
as well.
yes, yes. And in fact, we've been working on developing a retired fathers corps.
Oh, that's
so
great.
there's fathers that are retired
Yeah.
that can work with younger fathers, because now we have a young fathers program, because those are for fathers under 21.
That's
because
great.
they have different needs.
Well, you've been watching Schenectady Today in and around the Capital Region. Thank you for watching. We're talking right now with Walter Simpkins, and we're going out with that. So thank you so much for being on this show.
asking me to be here.
You're doing such wonderful work.
Thank you. I really
It's
appreciate
it's very tough.
Yes.
It's very tough. I was just wondering, are you getting any other organizations to work with you?
Oh, yes. We collaborate with
Yeah, I'm
so
taking
many
over.
organizations.
Just you and me talking now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just you and me
Yeah,
talking.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We collaborate.